I'm Coach John Witt, and I'm all about helping you and your fellow business owners make the right moves for your business. We're going to show you a coaching discussion from our Better Business Results show, where I'm interviewing Bill Alvarez, General Manager for European Dry Cleaners. There's a dry cleaners on every corner. The question we want to know is, how do we get people to change from their current service provider? We use Gleischer's formula for behavioral change to discuss why people change and how to strategically encourage the process. I'm going to ask specific questions from the formula. Let's see what Bill says. And while we're at it, write down how you can use Gleischer's formula to attract more customers from your competition. If you learn to make the right moves, you'll have a strong, effective, and growing business with amazing results. If not, you're just like all the others. Spend 30 minutes once a week to generate 1 to 3 action items, and you won't recognize your business in 12 months. So we're going to go through this thing called Gleischer's formula for change, right? For behavioral change, right? This is what we use to help persuade or show people why it's important and valuable. But once we understand this formula, then we'll have a conversation about how to apply this, and so how that might make some sense.
Okay.
And then ultimately see if we can't come up with 3 decisions, actions that we can take to make our activities a little more effective. So Gleischer's formula for behavioral change is a formula developed by David Gleischer back in the 1960s. He was a clinical psychologist. And what he did was simplify why things happen, why they change. And they've written hundreds and hundreds of books on behavioral change since then, but this is one of the forerunners to that. So every formula starts with an operator, right? And this is a greater than or less than symbol. And the R stands for resistance, right? And what David says is everybody's resistant to change. Everything's resistant to change. Water flows downhill. It doesn't go over the rock, right? It flows around the rock. It flows around the log. It doesn't go over the log. Everything's resistant to change. And the resistance intensity goes up or down, depends on the complexity of the amount of the change, right? So the key is what's on the other side of this formula. Why do people change? Because sometimes people do change, right?
Yep.
And he said, okay, the first thing is, if you're not happy with your current state, if you're dissatisfied with your current position, you might be willing to change, right?
Totally.
But it's not enough. You need them all, right? And the next thing you need is a vision. So vision might be, I would like it to be this way instead of that way. This would make me happier. This would make me at least not unhappy, right? So you have to have a vision, right? Mm-hmm. And those 2 are the first most important things. If you don't have either one of those things, it doesn't make any sense. You can't. No. There's no change going to happen, right? Yeah. And then the last thing you have to have, which is really equally important, right, is you got to know the first steps of how to make the change happen. You need to know, how do I go about doing this? Because if you don't know how to go about doing it, or how to get started, right? Now, if you know the first a couple of steps, you could figure out the other steps as you go along. But if you don't know the first step, you're pretty well stuck, right, in anything that you do. And so when we look at this and we say, from a behavioral change standpoint, what we're going to do, what you do in the coaching profession in your industry, what I do in my industry, is we put that plan together. We identify the first steps that allow the business owner or the person that we're working with to overcome resistance. And we essentially help them go from their point of dissatisfaction to their vision. We're helping them buy or decide to achieve what it is that they want, right? And as long as we're helping them, this is customer service, right? As long as we're helping them get what they want, then we're doing the right things. If we enjoy helping them what they want, or making people happy or satisfying them, then again, our passion shows up. So there's a lot of opportunities, understanding this formula, to figure out, how do we help people change? All right, so the D stands for dissatisfaction. I'm going to ask Bill what his customers and their clients are dissatisfied about. Let's hear what he has to say. So pick one of those 2, either the consumer or the dry cleaning business, and say, tell me what the areas of dissatisfaction that they typically have.
I think in the consumer that needs to have their garments clean, I think the biggest problem is that a comparison and knowledge of what is different out there, and making them realize that their garments, that investment that they have, can last a lot longer. So the V stands for vision. We need to understand, what is it that our customer or our clients want, or even our customers' clients? What do they want? What's their vision? As a dry cleaning owner of a dry cleaning establishment, what is the typical vision? What is it? Why do people get into that business in the first place? First of all, it is a good business to get into it, and it can be profitable, and if you do it the right way. Unfortunately, I think sometimes I walk into a place and I see equipment that I thought that maybe Christopher Columbus brought in one of his ships. I think that most dry cleaning, and I may be just putting words in, I'm kind of
making a couple of educated guesses here. Nobody gets into the business just because they want to deal with dirty clothes all the time, right? They provide a service and they make people happy. Now that's one reason to get into it, and the other one is because they want to be an entrepreneur, right? They want to own a business, and we know that entrepreneurship is the number one way to wealth and capital and lifestyle in the world.
So clearly with vision, a lot of them want to be entrepreneurs and to be successful entrepreneurs. But the key is, what are the first steps, right? And then what are the tools that you have that allow them to accomplish or make the move? What are those first steps and the tools you have to help them?
So we, one of the first steps might be to contact you, or B, what are some of the other tools that you have where you can share this message?
For the dry cleaners themselves, we over the years have, like I said before, we're always looking for a better mousetrap. Okay, so we have methodologies and equipment that makes the production less of a headache. We also address one of the major headaches, and that is finding the right type of personnel. And we do this through the right type of equipment that does 80% of the work through computers. Pressing equipment that does most of the work.
Yeah, so you eliminate a lot of the
So
training.
you eliminate a lot of the training, the necessity for having one super good presser. No, now it's more consistent because a computer knows only one way, does the same way all the time. We, over the years, the 40 years that we're in business, we not only created different systems on how to do the production properly and a high level of it and still achieve the numbers.
All right, so now we've shared how can we help them. The question now is, how do we tell people about it? What are the tools, what are the things that we have that we can, how do we share our message?
How do you educate the consumer today about the things that you're talking about?
The consumer for the dry cleaning establishment and those who own things. What we do is that we have different ways of addressing our marketing processes to make people aware of what we're doing, advertising. In the place of the dry cleaning owners, we have associated ourselves with equipment, computer companies that keep track of everything as well. I mean, so many different things that we have added to the equation that when you put it all together, now you have a system that works and you don't feel overwhelmed.
So let's talk about education marketing, right? How do we educate the consumer today on how we help them? How do we educate them? How do we help them?
We are going to be adding, for those in the industry, webinars and training.
Oh, so webinar. Yeah, that's
Yes.
a good, yes.
Excellent.
All right, so now we've shared how can we help them. The question now is, how do we tell people about it? What are the tools, what are the things that we have that we can, how do we share our message?
So what are some of the new things that you're working on or you're going to work on to help people understand that this service, this quality, this kind of thing exists?
Through videos themselves.
Through video. Okay.
Yes.
So you'll set up a video marketing campaign.
Video marketing campaign.
Okay.
And that is, if you're not using that, you're falling behind.
Yeah.
All right, so let's identify a couple of new ways or new things that we can work on to help share the message.
So what's the first thing you want to do? You want to go videos? You want to go to associations?
The construction of the videos is elementary. We want to have that so that we can advertise availability.
So that's the first
and then
thing.
and start exposing it.
Now you've identified the first thing. Let's talk about when. When is that going to happen? Let's put that onto your plan.
All right. So what's your vision about, when do you want to put this webinar thing together? I mean, it's August. You're still doing data gathering. When do you want this thing up and running?
I say definitely by October or so.
Okay. Last quarter, fourth quarter.
Last quarter.
Okay.
Yeah.
By now, you should have identified areas of dissatisfaction and unhappiness that your ideal clients face. You should have a good understanding of what it is that they really want and how your product or service solves their pain and delivers the gain they desire. Here's your action plan. Number 1, identify your ideal client's areas of dissatisfaction and desires. Number 2, identify how your product or service eliminates their problems and provides the benefits they want. Don't focus on features, focus on benefits. Number 3, identify how you can reach your target and present your solutions. Bill mentioned videos and webinars. These are 2 of today's top internet marketing tools. As always, create a plan for implementing your new marketing strategy. If you want more information on how to identify your ideal client's needs and wants, how to launch a video or webinar campaign, or how to build a plan, post a question on our forum or schedule a call at www.businesswit.com.